From indecipherable ancient texts to modern-day vanishings, these are 10 unsolved mysteries that continue to confuse even the world's smartest minds. We live in a universe governed by laws, patterns, and logic. We map the stars, decode the building blocks of life, and send probes to the furthest reaches of our solar system. Yet, for all our accumulated knowledge, there are shadows where the light of understanding cannot penetrate. These are the stories that defy explanation, the puzzles with missing pieces that haunt our collective consciousness. Our journey begins on a quiet Australian beach in 1948. A man, impeccably dressed in a suit and tie, is found deceased, leaning against a seawall. There are no signs of violence, no identification, nothing to explain who he was or how he died. The labels on his clothing have been meticulously removed. He is a ghost, a man without a past, who has appeared only to depart. This is the enduring puzzle of the Somerton Man. Investigators were left with a series of baffling clues that seemed to lead nowhere. A suitcase found at a nearby train station contained clothes, but again, all identifying marks were gone. A hidden pocket sewn into the man's trousers held the most perplexing piece of evidence: a tiny scrap of paper, torn from a rare book of poetry, bearing only 2 words: Tamam Shud. This Persian phrase, meaning it is ended, or it is finished, was the final page of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. The book from which it was torn was eventually found, containing what appeared to be a coded message. Imagine a treasure beyond your wildest dreams. Gold, silver, jewels worth tens of millions of dollars in today's money. Now imagine the key to this fortune is locked away in a series of 3 coded messages. This is the tantalizing promise of the Beale Ciphers, a mystery that has captivated treasure hunters and cryptographers for nearly 200 years. The story begins in the 1820s with a man named Thomas J. Beale, who allegedly entrusted a locked box to a Virginia innkeeper before disappearing forever. Inside the box were 3 pages filled with numbers: page 1, page 2, page 3, each a separate cipher. Years later, the innkeeper, unable to contact Beale, opened the box and, with a friend, dedicated his life to cracking the codes. He succeeded with only 1. The second cipher, when decoded using the Declaration of Independence as a key, revealed a stunning inventory of the treasure and its approximate location in Bedford County, Virginia. It spoke of a vault 6 feet beneath the surface, filled with the riches of a mysterious mining expedition. But the other 2 ciphers remain stubbornly silent. Imagine a sound you can't escape, a persistent, low-frequency hum like a distant diesel engine idling that follows you everywhere. It's a sound that most people can't hear, but for a small percentage in and around Taos, New Mexico, it is inescapable and maddening. This is the Taos Hum Mayo Realm Ison, first reported in the early 1990s. A mystery not of sight, but of sound. Those who hear it, often called hearers, describe a deeply unsettling experience. The hum can cause dizziness, nausea, headaches, insomnia. It seems louder indoors and at night, and it's impossible to record with standard microphones. Researchers from prestigious institutions descended on Taos. They deployed sensitive acoustic equipment, but they failed to find any external source. It is not industrial noise, not seismic activity, not a secret military project, or so they claim. In the desolate cold of the Ural Mountains in 1959, a chilling and inexplicable event unfolded. 9 experienced Soviet hikers led by Igor Dyatlov set out on a challenging winter expedition. They never returned. A search party finally reached their last campsite on the slopes of a mountain ominously named Dead Mountain and found a scene of pure, unadulterated horror. The hiker's tent had been sliced open from the inside, as if they were desperately trying to escape something within. The trail of footprints leading away from the tent told a baffling story. The hikers had fled in a panic, some barefoot, others wearing only socks, into deep snow and sub-zero temperatures. Their bodies were found scattered across the mountainside, hundreds of meters from their camp. The first few appeared to have died of hypothermia, but as more bodies were discovered, the mystery deepened. Several hikers had horrific internal injuries, crushed ribs, and fractured skulls, with no external trauma. One woman was missing her tongue, missing her eyes, and missing part of her lips. In the late 1960s, a shadow fell over Northern California. A killer emerged who did not just commit murder, he turned it into a terrifying form of public theater. He gave himself a name, the Zodiac. He targeted young couples in secluded areas. But what set the Zodiac apart was his chilling communication with the press and police. He craved the spotlight, taunting authorities with letters and cryptic ciphers. The Zodiac's letters were a disturbing mix of arrogance and grammatical errors, often beginning, "This is the Zodiac speaking." He claimed responsibility for numerous murders. Only 5 were definitively linked to him. With his letters came complex cryptograms. One, the 408 cipher, was cracked by a schoolteacher and his wife, revealing a rambling, misspelled message. But the 340 cipher remained unsolved for over 51 years. Finally, in 2020, a team of private citizens cracked it, only to find another taunting non-confessional message. The Zodiac seemed to be playing a game. The rules were his alone. In the vast, silent expanse of space, are we truly alone? For 72 seconds on the night of August 15th, 1977, we had reason to believe the answer was no. Big Ear Radio Telescope at Ohio State University, astronomer Jerry Amon reviewing data printouts. Suddenly he saw it, a powerful, narrow-band radio signal flaring up from the direction of Sagittarius. A signal so strong, so unusual, it matched what scientists expected an artificial signal to look like. Close-up of the printout with a circled "Wow," 30 times stronger than background noise, transmitted at 1,420 megahertz. This is significant because it's the frequency at which hydrogen naturally emits radio waves. Scientists have long theorized an intelligent civilization would use this cosmic waterhole frequency as a universal hailing channel. The signal possessed all the hallmarks of an interstellar beacon. It appeared it grew in intensity and then faded over the course of 72 seconds, perfectly matching the rotation of the Earth as the telescope's view swept past that point in the sky. It was a perfect textbook example of a potential alien message. But there was one major problem. It was never heard again. On the day before Thanksgiving in 1971, a man in a business suit calling himself Dan Cooper boarded a flight from Portland to Seattle. He was quiet and unassuming. Shortly after takeoff, he passed a note to a flight attendant. The note claimed he had a bomb in his briefcase. For the next several hours, he held the crew and passengers hostage, not with violence or rage, but with calm, polite efficiency. His demands were simple: $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. Once the plane landed in Seattle, his demands were met. The passengers were released, a new flight crew came aboard, and the plane was refueled. Cooper then gave his final instructions: fly towards Mexico City at a low altitude and slow speed. Somewhere over the rugged, forested wilderness of southwestern Washington, in the midst of a raging storm, D.B. Cooper did the unthinkable. He lowered the rear air stairs of the Boeing 727 and, with the ransom money strapped to his body, leaped out into the freezing night. He was never seen again. Is it merely a myth, or the ghost of a real place drowned by the sea? The story of Atlantis, the legendary island civilization, has captivated humanity for over 2 millennia. Our only source for this tale comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who described it in his dialogues as a mighty naval power that existed some 9,000 years before his own time. According to Plato, Atlantis was a utopian society, a marvel of architecture and engineering located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. Plato's description is vivid and detailed. He speaks of a city of concentric rings of land and water, of magnificent temples adorned with exotic metals, and of a wise and noble people. But their hubris grew along with their power. They sought to conquer the known world, and in a single, terrible day and night of misfortune, the island of Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, vanishing without a trace. It was a cautionary tale. For centuries, most scholars dismissed Atlantis as a philosophical fable, but the story is just too compelling to simply let go. Explorers and researchers have spent their lives searching for it, proposing locations all over the globe: the Greek island of Santorini, the Caribbean, the coast of Spain, Antarctica. While no definitive proof of Atlantis has ever been found, the legend endures, a powerful myth that blurs the line between history and fantasy, reminding us that sometimes the most powerful places are the ones that exist only in our imagination. In our modern age of constant surveillance, where every move can be tracked by GPS satellites blanket the globe, how can a Boeing 777 simply vanish? On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing, with 239 souls on board. Less than an hour into the flight, it disappeared from civilian radar screens over the South China Sea. Its last verbal communication was a calm, "Good night, Malaysian 370. What followed was not silence, but a series of electronic ghosts. Military radar tracked the plane turning sharply off its flight path, flying back across the Malay Peninsula, then heading out over the vast, empty expanse of the Indian Ocean. For hours, the plane continued to fly its transponder and communication systems deliberately shut down. It sent a series of automated pings to a satellite. These pings allowed investigators to trace a probable flight path, creating two enormous arcs across the southern Indian Ocean. This triggered the most expensive and complex search in aviation history. Yet, after years of searching, the main wreckage of the aircraft has never been found. A few pieces of debris, confirmed to be from MH370, have washed up on the shores of Africa thousands of miles away, carried by ocean currents. But these fragments offer no answers, only confirmation of the tragedy. Deep inside Yale University's library, there's a book that really shouldn't be there. It's an old book from the 1400s, full of fancy writing and strange pictures. But here's the thing, nobody on Earth can read it. The words are in a language or code no one knows, using letters found nowhere else. This is the Voynich Manuscript, the most mysterious book in the world. For more than 100 years, ever since an old bookseller found it in 1912, no one has been able to figure it out. Even the best code breakers have failed, even those who broke the enigma. The writing looks like a real language, with rules and patterns, not just nonsense. But it's not like any language we know. It's like a language with no family. The pictures are just as confusing. Plants that don't exist, star maps of unknown groups, naked people swimming in green liquid through pipes. The book seems like a collection of knowledge. Maybe about plants, maybe about magic, maybe about medicine, or a guide to a world that isn't ours. Strange plants and weird creatures. Is it a big, old trick to fool a collector? The last book from a lost culture? The work of one brilliant creator? Or a message from another place? We have journeyed through riddles of code sound space. We've walked the cold slopes of Dead Mountain and flown into the heart of a storm with a phantom, the Somerton Man, the Zodiac, D.B. Cooper. These names echo in the halls of the unknown. They are more than just stories. They are gaps in our reality. profound questions etched into the fabric of our history. They remind us that for all our confidence and all our science, we are still surrounded by shadows. The universe does not owe us answers. Which of these mysteries do you think will never be solved? Is it the cosmic whisper of the WOW signal or the coded secrets of the Beale Ciphers? Perhaps the fate of MH370? Comment your favorite theory below. Let's continue the search together.